I got a question from one of you that really seemed like a hot take. And then the more I looked into it, it wasn't that crazy. Now, I'm not predicting this to come true, but on the surface, this may seem like an out-of-the-realm possibility, couldn't possibly come to fruition, you will not see this happen sort of prediction. Mike sent in a take that said Dylan Raiola will be the best quarterback in the Big Ten this year. Dylan Raiola is going to start at Nebraska. And if you look at what he did in the spring game, he had a couple throws that weren't great, but mostly what he did was look really, really impressive. Does that automatically translate over to the college football field in actual games? Not automatically, no. But when you look at the Big Ten, of the Power Four conferences, they are the worst at quarterback. I don't even know if that's arguable. They are leaps and bounds behind the Big 12. That's not even, we're not even having that discussion. The SEC, I'm going to take them over the Big 10 as well. The ACC, maybe you can have an argument. Maybe you can have a discussion at least. I think I would lean towards the ACC though, because the lineup of quarterbacks in the Big 10 is just not that impressive, which is part of the reason Raiola can get there. And then you look at the stats and you go, well, he could be higher than I think. Let me ask you this question, just off the top of my head. Who led the Big 10 in passing yards last year? What individual quarterback threw for the most yards in the Big 10 conference last year? That would be Taulia Tagovailoa of Maryland. Did you predict that? If you did, congratulations, because it's a heck of a prediction. I don't think fans outside the Big Ten landscape would have guessed Taulia Tagovailoa, who was a pretty good quarterback last year, had a 145 passer rating, went for over 3,300 yards, 25 touchdowns to 11 picks. He led the league with just over 3,300 passing yards. He was one of just two quarterbacks to eclipse the 3,000-yard mark. Do you know how many eclipsed the 2,000-yard mark? 6, including those two. There were 4 other guys that threw for over 2,000 yards. And I think the lineup of quarterbacks this year, look, some guys like Drew Aller that are returning to their teams may very well be better versions of themselves. Other teams might have upgraded, but a lot of teams, they're just kind of, they're just kind of there. So if you're going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, certainly passing yards is not the only metric you would look at to say, well, who's the best quarterback there? Who had the best season? It is a metric you would look at, though. And is it out of the realm of possibility to think that Dylan Raiola could go for around 3,000 yards? Not even hit the 3,000-yard mark, just around 3,000 yards, which, for reference, if you play 12 games, is about 260-plus yards per game. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think it's wild. I think it comes down to a couple things. First of all, how well he adapts to the college game. Because making the jump as a true freshman, it's pretty tough to do. There have been high-profile recruits that start as true freshmen, but most guys do not start as true freshmen because it's very, very hard. It is incredibly hard. It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash. It's incredibly hard. If you understand that reference, drop me a comment because that means we think the same. But just a couple of high-profile true freshmen who started in their true freshman seasons and throughout the entire season. Well, Trevor Lawrence comes to mind. It's kind of hard to find some other ones. They're out there, but high-profile like Dylan Raiola? Few and far between. Now, Trevor Lawrence in his freshman year went for just under 3,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Oh, man, that's good. That's such a good true freshman season. But even another guy at Clemson, Cade Klubnik, DJ Uyunglele struggled. Cade Klubnik didn't start as a true freshman, and you could look at any school that you want to. True freshman quarterbacks having huge years is not supremely common because of the adjustment factor. But when you're coming into the Big Ten, yeah, Dylan Raiola could be one of the best quarterbacks in this conference this year. I can absolutely see that because you look up and down the lineup, you go, okay, you got Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. He's going to have a bunch of weapons. You got Will Howard, Ohio State. He's going to have a bunch of weapons as well once he officially gets named the starter. Drew Aller at Penn State, new offensive coordinator. Julian Fleming's a new toy for him to play with, and I think a pretty darn talented one. Okay, yeah, that could be pretty. But then where do you go from there? Are you going Tyler Van Dyke at Wisconsin? Are you going Luke Altmaier at Illinois? Aiden Childs will be his first season of actually starting throughout the entire year at Michigan State. Cade McNamara at Iowa. I mean, these are not going to be supremely high bars to cross to put yourself in the mix for being one of the best quarterbacks. And if Raiola plays the way he did in Nebraska spring game, yeah, he could be in the mix. Maybe not the best, but he can certainly be one of the best. And it may very well come down to his weapons. And this is the other question that I have about Dylan Raiola and how much success he can have this year. This is a real stat. I had to triple check this, but this is a real stat. Nebraska in 2023 only had one wide receiver over 300 yards on the year. That's just, oh man, that's rough. By the way, that individual, Billy Kemp, the fourth, yeah, he was a senior last year, so yeah. They need to upgrade their weapons, let's just say. But have they gone out and made efforts to try and do that? It would appear as though they have made some effort along that front. We'll see if it's enough. We'll see if Raiola has enough support on the perimeter. So a couple names to know off the top for the Cornhuskers. Alex Bullock and Jalen Lloyd are guys who both had over 200 yards receiving last year, which on most teams, a standard offense, you could say, is like the fifth best receiver. Those guys, as wide receivers, were second and third in the receiving yardage department. There's a tight end who was up there second in the team in yards as well. But this was a putrid passing game last year. This was an Iowa-level passing game last year. It was so bad. It can't be worse, right? Goodness gracious, for the sake of Cornhusker fans, I hope that it is not. But they brought in Isaiah Nair, a guy who has not played a lot of college football the last couple of years. He was at Texas last season, and he recorded one catch. His best year, though, came in 2021 whilst playing for Wyoming. He had over 800 yards in that season. You get that sort of guy, you bring in Jamal Banks, who had over 600 yards receiving each of the last 2 years with the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest, and suddenly Mike's prediction that Dylan Raiola could be the best quarterback in the Big Ten doesn't sound so crazy, does it? Now, is this a top flight receiving core? No, I don't think so. One thing we'll see with Bullock and Lloyd, though, is how much are they able to elevate their production because they have a better quarterback in place. That is going to be perhaps the deciding factor for Nebraska having the sort of season that I and many others think they're capable of. Nebraska's win total. What do you think Nebraska's win total is if you don't know it off the top of your head? It's 7.5. 7.5. By the way, I kind of like them over. I think that's an 8-4 football team. If Raiola is able to connect with these guys and form just a capable, don't need to be a world-beating offense, have a step forward year offensively, and use that to go recruit guys in the transfer portal that can come in 2025 and really help you out, yeah, Nebraska will be a team and a program to watch out for this year and next year as well. This episode is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, and they do so with good reason. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.